just so we can facilitate that. Just for anyone listening to this session, please put your questions into the Q&A box as we listen to both Chris and indeed to Caroline, and it'll be good. Then we'll just make sure we fly through them at the end. So thanks so much, Claire. Chris, I'm not sure if you're online here with us as well. So yeah, there you go. How are you, Chris?
I'm good.
So welcome. Thanks for joining us and thanks for taking part. So yeah, I won't introduce you. I'll let you introduce yourself, Chris, and thanks for being with us. I'm looking forward to hearing your insights.
Perfect. Thanks, Vinny, Keith. First of all, I'd like to thank CFI for having me on. Delighted to talk at the conference and really looking forward to listening to the other talkers. And thanks to Claire for her talk, really interesting stuff. So I'm Chris Coburn, as Keith said. I'm a full-time professional strength and conditioning coach working in Ireland here. Currently working with St. Pat's Athletic Football Club full-time, and then a few other GA clubs like Coola Senior Hurlers, Kilmacud Crokes Senior Footballers, and Kilmacud Crokes Ladies Footballers as well at the minute. So I'm just going to talk to you about kind of my experiences of exercising with CF and how it has kind of influenced my life as a whole and my career choices and everything like that, and kind of the great kind of opportunities exercise has given me throughout my life. So okay, so as I said, yeah, that's me, Chris Coburn there. Strength and conditioning in St. Pat's. As I said, full-time coaching for the last decade, and just how I feel CF and exercise are really interlinked and really important elements of kind of healthcare, maintaining your health, both as a person with CF and, as Claire said, just as a general person in general life. So I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old. At the start of my treatment, so that was in 1995. So at the start of my treatment, obviously made up of like your medication, your creons, all your tablets, your NEDs, Pulmazine, Toby, all that stuff. A lot of physio as well, a lot of airway clearance stuff. But for me, the main part of my treatment was my sport, my exercise, from my point of view. My mum kind of really threw me into everything from a very young age. It was funny, a lot of the stuff Claire was saying there about trying different things, trying different sports, trying loads of different activities is literally how my kind of early childhood went in terms of sport. Luckily, I loved sport. I loved playing sport. When I wasn't playing organised sport, I was out with my friends playing out in the park. And I always found that was a huge help. And as I got older, I had those habits that Claire spoke about in terms of developing while you're young and getting to 8 years old. I had those exercises a part of my life by then. So it's just kind of stayed a part of my life, which was great. And like I played Gaelic football, I played hurling, I played football, I swam. And then when I kind of moved into secondary school, I started to kind of take more interest in rugby. I played cricket. So I'd be rugby during the winter, cricket during the summer, all the way up till I was about 17, 18. And that's when I started to go to the gym a bit more seriously. So I got an injury in school when I was playing rugby. That's maybe I couldn't play for a while. I dislocated my knee. So I was in a cast for 12 weeks, which meant I couldn't actually exercise. I couldn't do this exercise I'd done. So I had to find a new avenue to exercise, both for my CF, for my own health, and for my mental health. It's just part of my life that I wanted to keep up. So I started going to the gym properly. I'd been going to the gym prior as part of rugby training, but I always found it a chore. And then I started going to the gym properly, and it kind of just, my life just really changed from there, which I'll go into in more detail in the next slide. But so problems I encountered as I was young and exercising was like, obviously my medication. And when I started off, like you had your Toby Neds, it took a long time. And some mornings I had to be in school for, let's say, 7:15 for a weight session before school when I was playing rugby, which meant that I had to get up extremely early. I had to get up at 6, quarter to 6 to get my Neds done, to be in on time. And thankfully, Mum and my dad I got lifts into school, which made it a lot easier, and meant I could obviously get my treatments done in the morning, go in and start kind of be on time for it. Obviously, it affected my days. And then some nights you get back late from a match, you have to do your Neds before you go to bed. Things like that were always kind of issues, but never huge issues. And obviously now in the last few years, the way the medication has gone in terms of the new tablets, the new inhalers, everything like that have made it so much easier. My treatment is now a really, really small part of my life. I take my tablets in the morning, I do my Neds, I do my inhalers, then I go about my day and I repeat that in the evening, and it's done. It rarely causes me any issues in terms of time or commitment or things like that, which has been great. So following on from kind of when I was playing sport, I had to stop for a while when I was 18, and I got into the gym side of things. And that just really just changed my life, my outlook on everything. I loved it. I enjoyed it so much, got great pleasure out of it, really motivated me to keep going. And from there, I decided that's what I wanted to do as a career. So I went and studied a Bachelor of Strength and Conditioning in IT Carlow. And in 2014, I started that, and I began coaching at the same time. So at this point, I started coaching in Gonzaga College, where I went to secondary school myself. I started coaching the rugby there. And then I kind of got involved in strength and conditioning in about 2015, and I'm still working there in that role now. And so I started off working with kind of underage rugby players from 13 up to 18, helping them develop good habits and good kind of exercise habits, and making sure they knew what they're at in the gym and they're doing things properly, and that they were also developing kind of good physical attributes. From there, I moved to working with Kilmacud Crokes senior hurlers, again in this period of time as well. Alongside one of my lecturers in college, he gave me an opportunity to go in and work with him, which was amazing to start working with adults and seeing the differences between the groups. And as Claire said, like between the CF stuff and the general population stuff, you see that in sports people too. Like there's different barriers to people wanting to exercise, and even people within sport have different areas of exercise they like. Some enjoy the gym side of things, some hate it, some enjoy the running, some hate it. Some enjoy the actual technical side of the sport, some hate it. So it's all about kind of finding your balance on what works for you. And that's something I found pretty early on, working between the age grades and the adult stuff. From there, I moved down to Kilkenny and worked the Kilkenny senior hurling team for 3 years, finishing up in 2019 with an All-Ireland final, which we unfortunately lost. And that was a brilliant experience, and I loved my time down there. And it was my real first kind of step into true elite sport. I loved it. I had a great 3 years. I learned so much, and I kind of had, again, experience of elite athletes and looking at kind of the differences that motivate them and things that kind of make them tick. And I found that really interesting, really enjoyable. From there, I moved and began working a bit with Leinster Rugby in their underage structures. Another really interesting environment to work in. Just seeing kind of how that system works and kind of getting more into the professional side of things. Obviously, elite GAA is one thing, professional sports another. And it was great to kind of see that and see how their pathways work. From there, I moved to Munster Rugby for a brief stint, was working in the academy there. And I actually did a second stint there, which finished up at Christmas. I did 6 months for the summer there, from the summer to Christmas even. And I loved it. Again, a great organisation to work in, really interesting experiences, and really kind of just seeing how different levels of sport work and operate is really interesting. I was working with the academy and the kind of national talent squad players down there, so the underage structures predominantly. So it was great. Absolutely loved it. While in that role, I also was working with Cork GAA, so I was working with Cork under-20s footballers as well, a few evenings a week, just kind of as a kind of side gig, which was a great experience. A different sport, a different culture, different environment. Again, in the nature of the work I do, unfortunately, you have to have more than one job at a time to keep yourself afloat money-wise, but that's just the nature of the industry. From there, I moved back to Dublin to work with St. Pat's Athletic, where I'm currently working, and I have been so I worked with Pats for 2 years prior to going down to Munster for my second stint, and now I'm back with Pats again full-time. So currently Pats, we're going well. We came second in the league last year, won the FAI Cup, and we're doing okay so far this season as well. Again, another sport, another level, another different environment of people to work in. So you see differences between rugby players, between hurlers, between Gaelic footballers, between soccer players. They all have different attributes, different areas of sport they like. And it kind of really reflects on how people outside of in normal life have different kind of goals or different elements of sport that they like, or different elements of fitness that they like. So it kind of really does come across in these different elite environments, as well as in the kind of normal day-to-day people who go to the gym kind of stuff as well. And I'm currently also involved with Cooler Hurlers. As I said, you kind of have to have a few gigs in this industry to keep yourself afloat. So that's kind of my working career. And that's all come out of my changing of my exercise to be a kind of more gym-focused thing. So in terms of how I have balanced my life in terms of this, exercise has always been a huge part of my own life and a huge part of my treatment. I consider exercise my most important part of my treatment. Unfortunately, Claire probably killed me for telling you this, but my airway clearance has probably not happened in over a decade, if not 2 decades. Since I started taking over my treatment from my mum, it's definitely stopped. And I've just found that sport and exercise has really worked for me in that sense. I find it's a great way of me to get my heart rate up, to get my body working well, and it keeps me fit, it keeps me healthy. So for once, example, when I was 23, I went to Thailand on a holiday with my friends for 7 weeks, and probably didn't look after myself as well as I should have. When I came back, my lung function dropped significantly. So from there, I was brought into hospital for 2 weeks. It was my first ever stint in hospital. So 23, and I was brought in for 2 weeks, my first ever stint. And I did my IVs and I did all my treatments, and then I was taken out again. And my lung function improved gradually from the IVs, but then when I went back and got back into my exercise routine, my lung function went right back up to where it was. And it's just, again, as Claire said, there mightn't be much kind of scientific proof of this, but for me, it's definitely something that I know works for me. And obviously everyone with CF knows their own body, and everyone knows their own body. So it's about finding the treatment that works for you, and what will benefit you might be different what benefits someone else, but knowing what that is and being able to adjust and adapt to that is very important. So that was a huge thing for me to know that if something does happen, if I do fall off my exercise for CF reasons, which is extremely rare because I'm very lucky with that sense, but like just lifestyle reasons, if I end up, I don't know, going out with my friends too much because there's several weekends where there's things on, or going on holiday and not quite taking care of myself, I know that I can get myself back on track through exercise. And it doesn't matter what it is, I can get back in, I can start at a low level and gradually build again. And I know that eventually I'll get back to where I want to be. My baseline, my CF health, my normal health, and everything like that will continue to rise in that sense through exercise, which I'm very lucky that works for me. But it is something that definitely does, and it's definitely a huge part of my life and how I control and keep on top of my CF. So the benefits of exercise, like Claire went into great detail on the science side and why people should be exercising. But from my point of view, what I've found exercise has been hugely beneficial for me in my life is 90% of my friends have come through sport. All my work colleagues now, from every organization I mentioned there, I have friends for life from those organizations. And my friends from school through sport, all these people that I've met in my life from different environments, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different parts of Ireland, in certain cases, different parts of the world, have all come through sport, and the opportunities working in sport has given me to meet these people. So getting out exercising, whatever level you're at, you'll meet people, you'll develop new friends in different circles with different interests, and it really is a great aspect of exercise and sport. The second point here is that it's individualized to yourself. So there's a story that like a lot of lecturers in strength and conditioning tell, that there was a man who he had a baby calf, and he used to carry this calf up a mountain every day. And as the calf got bigger, he got stronger. So as the calf became older and became more of a cow, he got stronger, and he was still able to carry it up every day. As Claire said, it's just gradual progress, doing the same thing over and over again, and just slightly trying to increase what you're doing to adapt your body more and more. So like it can start off with like going for a 5-minute walk. It can start off with just taking the stairs and work, but everything that you do will improve you. As Claire said, 1 minute of exercise is better than 0. So if you go and walk up the stairs and walk up the stairs in your house, don't take the lift. Things like that will build your exercise tolerance, and gradually you will find that you will be able to do more and more, which is a huge aspect of it. Like no one comes in on the first day of trying to run a marathon and runs and sets a world record. It's not how it works. You have to work hard. The main part of doing all this exercise is not the outcome of the result, it's actually how much work you put into it. It's where, if you ask most sports people, it's the things that they've done that people don't see, or even if you ask people who just exercise regularly, it's the process, it's the enjoyment of getting to something that you couldn't do previous that allows you to get to a level where you are, and that it's just constant incremental improvements and repetition that will get you there. There's no magic, there's nothing like that. It's just working hard and trying your best, and whatever your best is, that's great. As long as you can improve your best, whether it's elite athlete or it's a person starting exercising, that's improvement. It doesn't matter what level, it doesn't matter how much. As long as you're getting better, you're going to be helping yourself. And then finally, and something I think is hugely important, is the mental health aspect of things. Is massive for exercise. For me, if I don't go to the gym for a few days, I'll be cranky, I'll be annoyed. It's just a place I can go and I can switch off and I can focus on nothing but what I'm doing at the time. Like I think anyone who's done exercise at a high level or a high intensity, whatever that intensity is relative to yourself, when you're working really hard and you're pumping sweat, you're not thinking about any other issues in your life. You're not thinking, oh, my CF isn't great today, or I've had a bad cough. You're just thinking about how much longer I have to do this for. So it's a great way of kind of getting yourself in the moment, being in the moment, focusing on what you're doing, and just allowing yourself to switch off from other aspects of your life that might be kind of causing you issues or maybe causing you concern. So I think it's a huge benefit of exercise that people should look into. Whatever your exercise is, again, it doesn't matter how great you are, how new you are to exercise. It's something that will help with your mental health. It's just getting out and doing something positive for yourself. That's purely for you is another huge aspect that I think is really useful and really important. So that's all from me, guys. Thanks a million for listening. I assume Keith's going to jump back on now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Amazing, Chris. Super story. Thank you so much for sharing. Love the baby calf analogy. Might start and try and find myself a baby calf and run him up to Sugarloaf over my shoulder. See if I can grow him into a cow or her. But I think that consistency piece, I think we spoke about it as well yesterday. The consistent incremental gains, the consistent repeated focus on your exercise. And it's fascinating to obviously hear that you've turned a passion into a career. It's great to see that people, when they put their mindset to something, they can achieve anything. To work with all of these amazing organizations, it's very inspirational to see that you've built this career for yourself, and you continue to listen to you can hear the passion for movement, the passion for exercise. So no, great, and thanks so much for sharing your insights. The last comment, obviously, I think we can all relate to it, having sat through lockdowns, and all of us, not even CF related, but just on a day-to-day basis. I don't live with cystic fibrosis, my son does, but the mental health element for me in terms of exercising is the most important element, to be able to actually have that break. I love you say, go in and sweat and think about nothing other than how do I get through the next 10 minutes. I did that at lunchtime today on my turbo trainer up in the attic to try and see could I get to the last 10 minutes of that session. So it's so important to make sure you give yourself that focus. And of course, we have to make sure that we're looking after the mental side of ourselves. So yeah, super story. And thanks for sharing.